Good evening, everyone. My name is Dawn Watson, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent for the Troy City School District. It is my pleasure to welcome you this evening to the 2021 Meet the Candidates Night. Before we get started, I'd like to take an opportunity to thank each of the candidates for their willingness to run for election to the Troy City School District's Board of Education. Serving the students and families in this capacity is one of the greatest ways to volunteer in your local community. We recognize and appreciate all of your efforts. Tonight's format will include the following. Each of the candidates will have an opportunity to introduce themselves and give an opening statement of no more than 2 minutes. This will be followed by 2 questions submitted to us by the public prior to this evening's event. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. We will conclude by giving each candidate a chance to share a closing statement of no more than 2 minutes. In that there will be 4 opportunities for each candidate to speak, we will proceed through the panel, moving alphabetically by last name from A to Z, and then reversing the order, Z to A, and then reversing again and again. To ensure everyone has an equal opportunity to speak this evening, we will be using a timer set to 2 minutes for each response. If you hear the timer beeping, that is your gentle reminder that you have reached your time limit. Good luck to each of you as we begin. So we will begin with candidate introductions, starting with Mrs. Shauna Case.
Good evening. My name is Shauna Case, and I have about 16 to 18 years in education. I chose to run for the board because I went to Troy High in the Troy City School District my whole life. My junior year in high school, I met with my school counselor and my parents, and I would have high hopes in going on to college, and I was told that I was not worth to go on to college, and that my parents should find me a job at Price Chopper or Pioneer, and I would figure it out, which was really deflating. Fast forward to 2021, my daughter, who's a middle school student, walked into my bedroom at 9 o'clock at night and said, "Mom, I didn't make National Junior Honor Society. I tried, I just not good enough." And that sparked a fire in me. And I feel bad for Mr. Matthews and Mr. McShane because I called them, I sent them a couple of emails, and I sent them a couple of links because I am passionate about the fact that not just my daughter didn't make it, but multiple kids who are 7th and 8th graders deserve to make National Junior Honor Society. And Ian McShane called me on Thursday night at 6 o'clock, so I know he had a long day. And he said, "We made a mistake. And we investigated, and not just your daughter, but every other child that wanted to be in it is in it." And that's when I said I can't sit on the sidelines anymore. I need to be more active and proactive and take my experience and what I know in education and help fight for every kid that walks through the door and help navigate for every parent that walks through that door. So I chose to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and run for the board and hopefully be elected.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from Ms. Stephanie Fitch.
Good evening, my name is Stephanie Fitch, and it's my privilege to be here tonight with all of you for Meet the Candidates Night. I previously served on the Board of Education for the Troy City School District for 2 terms, from 2004 to 2010. Although at that time my last name was not Fitch, it was Scully, which some board members still have a hard time getting over. Through that, my 4 children attended Troy schools at various points, attending School 16, School 14, the school formerly known as Doyle Middle School, and of course Troy High. I became quite passionate with my involvement at the time because the district was facing overwhelming financial challenges and frustrating educational results. During that time, I learned a tremendous amount about what it means to be a board member, the importance of financial oversight, the constraints of state ed, the inequity of school funding, and the difficulty when making big decisions that impact the education of the children and the community as a whole. I decided not to run for a 3rd time because, frankly, done right, being on the school board takes a lot of time and attention. But after a few years with my family grown, I became involved again by serving on the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee. I couldn't stay away, and 3 years ago I found myself happily back as a board member. I feel a board functions best when there's a balance of new members, experienced members, and those who have been involved long enough to have fresh perspectives, and yet comprehend the complexities. I would like to be a part of that balance.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from Mr. Matthew Flowers.
Hello, my name is Matthew Flowers, lifelong resident of the city of Troy, graduate of Troy High School, member of the football team when I was there, and a few other clubs. I've had 3 children, 2 daughters graduate through the Troy School District, and a son currently attending the middle school. 3 years ago, I have a large group of passionate friends who thought that I would be an appropriate voice for the city of Troy for the Board of Education. I didn't know what that meant at the time, but I was willing to take the charge. I've been involved with youth and education for most of my life. I've worked with the Troy Boys and Girls Club, the Albany Boys and Girls Club, and I currently serve as an academic advisor with Excelsior College. So I'm kind of keen on education. Being a lifelong resident of the city of Troy, and again, a graduate of Troy High, I know some of the successes that the district has held and some of the shortcomings, which I think was the other thing that really sparked me to run for a seat on the board. As I'm nearing the end of my first term, as was promised to me in my board member orientation, I finally gotten my feet under me, starting to understand what being a board member is about, and I hope I get the opportunity to continue.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll go to Mrs. Carol Harvin.
Hi, good evening. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Carol Harvin. I am a graduate of Troy High. I've been very active in the Troy City School District. I started from kindergarten all the way through the 12th grade. While in the school district, I've been a cheerleader. I still know some of the songs and things that they do there. The school council, the school choir, and all my siblings are graduates of the Troy City School District. As I've always said before, the Troy City School District is the best place to be a student, and they have most of the best academics there are. People have gone to private schools, and they end up in the Troy City School District. I love children. I want to see them advance, and also to be there to assist them. And as I stated before, which I have done, is to talk to people who don't understand the procedures and do not understand information that is sent to them in the mail. I am there. They can count on me to interpret what is needed in the Troy School District regarding their children, because some of them do not have the perfect skills when it comes to interpreting the letters and correspondence that's sent to them. I wish all candidates the best of luck. And this job is not a paying job. It's voluntary. And I also have the time. And everyone brings something to the board. Everyone has their own expertise. But one thing you have to have is commitment. And that's something I definitely do have. I am dedicated. When I put my mind to something, I make sure it's fulfilled to the extent.
Thank you, Mrs. Harvin. Next, we'll hear from Mr. Donald Miller.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Donnie Miller. I'm 30 years old, and I'm seeking a position with the Troy School Board. I was born and raised in Troy, still reside there with my wife Shannon, who's been by my side for 10 years now, and our two little girls, Mackenzie, who is 5. She's going to be starting kindergarten this fall at School 18, and Harper, who turns 2 in August. I graduated from School 18, then I went to the middle school back when it was called W.K. Doyle Middle School, and then I graduated Troy High in 2008. As a Troy taxpayer and a parent, I am fully committed to the Board of Education. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration and management, and I'm currently employed with the New York State Division of Homeland Security as a senior analyst. I know firsthand that this world can be a pretty scary place, and the single most important tool that any child can have is a good education. And I want to ensure, my mission is that not only my children, but every single child in the Troy School District has every resource and opportunity available to help them succeed. I look forward to answering your questions this evening, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from Mrs. Elizabeth Polito.
Hi, good evening. My name is Elizabeth Polito. I'm here tonight as a candidate for the Troy School District Board of Education. To tell you a little bit about myself, I'm a graduate of the University at Albany. I've been a board member since 2012. Since then, I've owned 2 homes in Troy, got married, and now have a 1-year-old son who's a future Troy student. I'm deeply committed to the Troy City School District and to the Troy community as a whole. In my years on the school board, I believe we've done a lot to further education of our students, but there's always more that we can accomplish. In 2020, we were faced with unprecedented challenges. I'm proud of the way the district pulled together and extremely proud of the education Troy has been able to offer our students, whether it was physically in the classroom or virtually from home. I'm excited about the growth the Troy School District has had over these past 9 years of being on the board, and I look forward to what the future holds for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, we'll hear from Ms. Taisha Tyson-LaBoy.
Good evening. My name is Taisha Tyson-LaBoy. I am a Troy native. I attended Troy City Schools at a very early age and probably up to about 3rd grade, and then I moved to the Lansingburgh School District where I'm a Lansingburgh Senior High School graduate. I have my bachelor's degree in criminal justice from the Sage Colleges. I am married and I have two children who were in the Troy City School District. One is in middle school and the other one is in Carroll Hill Elementary. I have 2 stepchildren who one is also a graduate of Troy High. I'm a senior healthcare program specialist in the Division of Behavioral Health Managed Care for Mental Health, New York State. I'm also, I'm a consultant there. I also do voluntary work within our inner city youth. I volunteer at an anti-bullying program called Speak Out. I've also done some voluntary work at the Troy Boys and Girls Club back in 2008 through 2010. My main purpose of wanting to run as a candidate to be on the school board, I believe every child should be able to receive a quality education. I have a personal interest in improving and preserving the quality of our school system. I will focus and advocate and serve all children, not just my own. I believe that being a school board member ultimately makes a difference for our future generations. I want to share my time by helping to ensure others have a voice in making educational and administrative decisions. I will be that conduit for concerns and interests of teachers and parents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Tyson-LaBoy, we're going to start the first question with you. We'll give you a minute to compose your answer. Question 1, from your perspective, what are 2 of the greatest strengths of the Troy City School District?
From my perspective, I say that sports is one. I think that there's a lot that is invested into sports. I've seen it throughout the years, the investments that are made on the fields, sports, education. I was impressed when all of the children were actually sent home last March. There were a lot of kids. It was like some kids didn't have an iPad, whether you use your own device or you get one from school, and it was encouraged if you had a home device to use that to allow other children to be able to actually use school devices. Things rolled around and every child now has a school device. There was more than enough. I've seen my daughter had actually used a school device. Hers broke, she was able to get a new one. I just think that there are a lot of great things that are going on within the district, and I'd like to be a part of it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Ms. Polito?
I think first and foremost our employees at Troy. I think the teachers have always done a wonderful job, but especially in this new era that we're kind of in. But really everyone down to custodians and just keeping the building safe for everyone to be there. And secondly, our programs. I think the fact that we've been able to offer so many AP classes and keep our music and arts programs through difficult budget seasons, have our P-Tech program that is well known in the district, around the Capital District. So I think those are the 2 things.
Thank you very much. Mr. Miller?
So I would say the first one from my perspective would be the college and the high school program. When I attended Troy High, I was fortunate enough to be able to take a couple of college credit courses, and I don't think that people understand how well Troy is when it comes to that program. Based on my research with other local school districts, they offer some of that as well, but I think Troy stands out from everyone. It is very important, and it gives the students a huge advantage to be able to graduate high school with a lot of college credits, and it helps them succeed for their college career. The other strength that I would say would be the aftercare programs. I know that the district offers an awful lot of support for parents, especially those who work later in the evenings. I know there's some programs out there like Empire State, just a couple of those opportunities that not only better the students and help them tighten up their skills academically, but it also gives the parents the opportunity to have some flexibility with their scheduling and be able to pick up their children later. So as a parent, I know that I'll likely be having to use that services if I work late, and I think those are two great strengths that the Troy District has.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Harvin, we'll go next to you.
Yes, the first and foremost is the college courses that they grant the students with. This is so important, and they really stress this. Students can have as many courses that they can before they even enter college. And this is what I love about the Troy City School District. By the time they even take their first course in college, they've already advanced to even 12 to 16 college credits. And that's amazing. And the other is the teamwork with the teachers, with the education. It's what they do to assist the students. They have after-school programs for students who cannot keep up with the same ones in the classrooms. It's just phenomenal what the teachers do to assist the students. And it's hard, but they made a way for the students to learn. So mine would be the education what the teachers continue to do for the students, and also the college courses that they give for the students so they could advance. They're already advanced before they even enter into the college world.
Thank you, Mrs. Harvin. Mr. Flowers, we'll go to you next.
Thank you. For me, the biggest thing would be the sense of community. People think of school, they think of the interaction between teachers and students, but it's so much more than that in our district. We've seen it now specifically during the pandemic, where it's taken the work of many to provide a quality education to students, whether they're here in the classroom or in front of a Chromebook in their bedroom. The relationships formed with not only the teaching staff, but everyone that's a part of the building, I think, makes it a rich experience for any students that is a part of our district. Second, I like to echo what many people have said. The opportunities that students have to earn advanced credits. I know myself, as a student who did well in school, I would have loved to have had the opportunity to earn college credit to kind of take that burden off the freshman year. As I left school, it would have prepared me a little more than I was when I left. And I'm glad that our students have that opportunity to get a leg up on the competition.
Thank you, Mr. Flowers. Next, we'll go to Ms. Fitch.
Well, I hate to steal your thought there, but community comes to mind for me as well. It's just this intangible thing. I think that employees here, the teachers particularly, have a connection to the children that's different than other school districts have. I think that the children become connected to the teachers in a way that makes them feel like family, and I think that the teachers have a real commitment and compassion for the students. The other thing that I've noticed in the last three years, which I did not see when I was on the board through 2010, was that the employers are very goal-oriented now, that there's a lot of thought that goes into why things happen. They don't just show up and expect things to fall into place. That there's a lot of analysis of when things go wrong, what can be done to redirect, and when things go right, what was it that caused those successes. And I think that's had a great impact on how the different school, at every level of education in the district, that we're seeing better results, because they're seeing that what you put into it is what gives you the results that you need.
Thank you very much. And finally, Ms. Case.
Two things that I see. One is, yes, lots of special programming. The summer programs, I think, are really helpful. I know my one daughter did the elementary program at School 14, and my other daughter's done the 21st Century program at the middle school. And those have been really good to keep them involved in academics during the summer, so that when they come back in the fall, they're already ready or ahead. as well as the after-school programs, that's been really huge. And I think that this district has that, a lot of other districts lack. And just talking to parents from other districts, they act surprised when I say, well, we have after-school programs, we have summer programs, and they're like, really? We never even heard of such a thing. So I think that is something that stands out. The other thing is the way they integrate the technology into the learning. So yes, there's access to laptops and all that sort of thing, but watching, especially with COVID and having so many virtual learning going on, I work in higher ed, so we've been kind of thrown into it as well and taken out of the classroom and put on Zoom meetings and Google Meets and all that. But the kids have done a really good job really digesting how to take technology on and how to use it and how to function with it in levels they never used before. And I watched my daughter be online in the fall, and the teacher had to teach the classroom as well as teach the kids that were online, and that has to be a really hard job to do both at the same time. So I think they really digested that and tackled that. And my kids are really good with technology now. I call on them for things sometimes. They know about this.
Thank you very much. And we're gonna stay within this case for question 2. If elected to the Board of Education, what is one area within the district you would work hard to improve?
I have a few, but one I think is communication. I think we do a good job getting things out there, but I kind of think it's all over the place. I think it's hard sometimes as a parent to navigate and find out information all the time. I've talked to a lot of parents who have come back and said, kindergarten was great, I knew what was going on, but every year I felt more distant. And I kind of agree with that. I know how to go find information, so I'm kind of okay with it. I'm used to education, I'll go digging for things, I go read board meeting minutes, so I have an understanding of how to find it, but I feel like other parents don't. And for some reason, I don't really know, so I think that's something I would like to work with the board with if I get elected, but to try to figure out how we can better overall maybe market ourselves or communicate to families, because I do think there's a break there. And I was talking to parents over this weekend, and a couple parents said to me, my kids started in 6th grade in middle school, and while I understand some things, I don't know what goes on most of the time in the building, and it's kind of frustrating. I thought that was kind of alarming. But I checked the announcements, and they weren't updated from February 21st until maybe a week ago. So that was a way that you can communicate with parents, but it's posted in the announcements, or having every school have the PTA there, and who's in the PTA, and what's going on in the PTA in School 16 and Carroll Hill at School 2, so people can get on the website to just kind of find it. I think there's information out there, but it's just kind of scattered, so it's not directive enough for people to find.
Thank you very much. Ms. Fitch?
I have felt for a while, and I've seen it as my kids went through school and how where their friends ended up, that there's something about the inequities in education throughout Troy. The positive things are easy to see and come to the top, but there's a level of, I think we're missing, I think we're losing kids. I think we're losing kids in certain areas, and I know that everyone wants to do better at it, but I think it really does need a lot more attention and realization that it's not equal across the board throughout the district, and that we need to come up with ways to make sure that we can provide the best education for all of the students, regardless of the challenges that brings.
Thank you very much. Mr. Flowers?
Thank you. I'd also like to speak on the equity concerns. Again, a graduate of Troy High. As a freshman, one of my experiences was going to my guidance counselor. He asked me what my plans were. I told him I'd like to go to an HBCU. The comment that I received afterwards was, well, you can do much better than that. As a 9th grader, not a rule breaker, kind of following authority, I thought, okay, well, maybe I wasn't thinking big enough for myself. Years later, I realized that I may have been robbed of an opportunity to pursue something that would have made me a different person. There are a lot of children in the district that look like me that don't get a fair chance. We're working as a unit, as a district, to change some of those inequities. I'm currently serving on an equity committee in the district and statewide, working on some solutions to reach all of the children, to make sure everybody has a fair opportunity to get the education they deserve and the opportunities that they strive for.
Thank you, Mr. Flowers. Next, we'll go to Mrs. Harbin.
I'm going to echo on what the others have said. We need fairness when it comes to students in the classroom. So it would definitely be the education. Because I live in a low income and someone else live in a better income, one should not be treated better than the other. When I was going to school, my parents worked. I had no one at night to show me how to do things when I got out of school. But what I did realize what I could do was have my classmates come to my house. I taught them what they didn't know, and vice versa. And I went to their house. But what we should do with students, don't just treat them because of where they live, because of the geographical areas of a student. They should all be treated the same. Why is my child lower in her grades or his grades and your child is higher? Do not base that because of the area in which I live. Do not even base that on the area of where the school district is. There needs to be more training when it comes to education. And Troy can do it. But we shouldn't segregate students because of the area on which they live. All students should be treated on the same level. They're in the same classroom. And it has been years in the past where if the teacher felt the student couldn't learn, they just ignored them and went to the other students for those who can keep up in the classroom. We have to do better with the students because we're all in the same class and we're all in the same school district. And that's what needs to be done in the Troy City School District. And it's still lacking a little in that department.
Thank you, Mrs. Harvin. Mr. Miller?
So one area that I would really enjoy working hard to improve would be providing more resources. My fellow candidates are talking about opportunities for the students, and to me, the students are everything. So I would like to improve more resources for the students outside of the academics, outside of the classroom. I'm talking about resources from counselors to social workers to teaching assistants. If we can provide more resources to our students outside of academics, I truly believe that that'll not only help support the teachers inside of the classroom, but it'll also help to create a more well-rounded education system, and it'll be better for all. That is definitely an area that I would like to improve. Perhaps there's grants out there that we don't know about that we can dig into and try to figure out how to play around and fund these. But I truly believe that providing more resources and improving the resources that we already have outside the classroom will help the education system better overall.
Thank you. Ms. Polito?
So one area that I know the district has been focusing on, but I think could use a little bit more focus is attendance. I think getting the kids in front of teachers is step one of education. And if they're not in front of you, you can't help them along their own journey. So I know that the district has been working on communication with parents and students to make sure that they know the importance of school and offering suggestions and help to get them in front of the teachers. But I think that it's something that we could spend more time and attention on.
Thank you very much. And finally, Ms. Tyson-LeBoy?
Communication is key, as many other candidates have said. I think that every child deserves, a fair chance. Excuse me. I feel that reading is a key to success, and it is statistically proven that a lot of minority children graduate high school on a much lower reading level than a 12th grade reading level. I feel that it can be changed. Our reading teachers were, I think it's been maybe 2 years now, where the reading teachers had lost their jobs within our district. We don't have reading teachers. I would like to see some of that come back, or maybe incorporate some reading programs to be able to actually help children besides their actual resource programs. Mental health is a huge topic, and I think that is something that needs more light within our communities and our schools. Within the past year with this pandemic has been a very dark moment for a lot of people. There's a lot that goes on with families that we don't know about. There's a lot that goes on with children that we don't know about. I feel that there should be able to be some sort of counseling that can be offered for kids and particular parents, maybe like outside of school hours. And also nutrition is a huge topic for me. I look at the calorie intake that our kids get within our district. They receive a free reduced breakfast and lunch. And when you compare that to a lot of districts where they do not receive a free and a reduced lunch, the calorie intake of ours is a lot higher. Maybe we can look at programs as far as maybe gardening and remove, maybe on certain days for elementary, our students have recess. What about maybe a natural garden where these kids can plant fruits and vegetables and watch them grow, and it's something that is nutritious and they can actually benefit from it.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. That information is very helpful. For the last few moments of the evening, I would like to invite each candidate to make a closing statement. And we will begin with you, Ms. Tyson-LaVoy.
My closing statement is, someone said to me 2 years ago, you should run to be on a school board. And I said, no, it's not for me. A year ago, someone said to me, you should run to be on the school board. And I didn't pay it much mind. I sit in front of you today because I feel like God has placed this in my heart, and it's just something within me. I am here to serve my community, and our children is in need, and I'm here to do what I can do.
Thank you very much. Ms. Polito?
In closing, I would like to ask for your vote on Election Day. I'm proud of the time that I've served on the Board of Education. The most rewarding piece of being on the board has been watching students participate and excel in the programs that we have to offer, and having some of them even come back to work in the district. If elected again, I promise to continue making data-driven decisions with the goal of providing the best education possible for our students while being conscious of our taxpayers.
Thank you very much. Mr. Miller?
So in closing, I would first like to thank everyone for having me this evening, my fellow candidates, the board, the administrators, and those of you watching at home. I would just like to encourage everyone to get out there on Tuesday, the 18th, to make sure that they vote. It's very important to get out there because you want to elect leaders who you know that you can trust to provide the best education for your students and your children. I think oftentimes people think that the Board of Education might not be as important as other elected offices such as the city council or the legislature, but I think the school board is much more important because we are the future of our students and our children. So again, I would encourage everyone to get out there on the 18th and cast your vote. I am someone who I like to listen, I like to hear problems, and I have an analytical mindset to where I will do the digging and I will do my best to provide an answer. So I appreciate everyone's time and I look forward to the 18th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll go to Mrs. Harvin.
In closing, I'd like to thank all of you for having me, and to remember to vote on May 18th. I am committed. I am active. I've been on many positions in the Troy City School District. One I love was the PT Grant Committee and all the others. Everything is important in the school district. And when you vote for the person, always remember when you vote, is it someone who's going to be committed? Is it someone who's going to listen to you? Is it someone who's going to be available before you go and cast a vote? The children are our future. That is very important. It's like the stepping stone. When you graduate from high school, the future is so broad on what you want to do, but you have to make sure that the student receives the education so that they can pursue their careers. And the only way to do it is to start with the students who are in school. And the school board members are the one who make sure that they receive the best education that they can receive. Make sure they have all the grants that are possible, to make sure they have qualified teachers and staff and everything, all the resources. So when you go cast your vote, you think about who is dedicated, who has the time, who has the knowledge and the strength, and who is reliable. And remember to vote on May 18th. Thank you.
Mrs. Harvin. Mr. Flowers?
Thank you. 3 years ago, my board member initial training, my initial training, we were told that based on the amount of time that is devoted to being a board member, by the time you reach the end of your first term you'll start to figure out whether or not this is for you. I think I was a little bit ahead of the curve. I started to figure out that I belonged here. I went from taking notes during meetings, to asking questions, to stepping forward to joining committees that I thought helped serve the district better. I'm just finishing up the end of my first term. I would really like to continue. Again, not just for my son, but for all the kids in the district. I've been invested in the welfare of children for most of my adult life. I'd like to see that continue with a re-election to the board. I encourage everyone to go out and vote, not just for us on May 18th, but for the district budget as well. We're an important part, but you know, the money that's being spent to educate your children and the children of Troy is also an important part. So on May 18th, go out and cast your vote, not only for us, but for a sound budget put together by our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flowers. Ms. Fitch?
I am currently the controller at the Rensselaer County Regional Chamber of Commerce, and I represent the school district on the Troy IDA Board, the Industrial Development Authority. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to use my professional and board experience by serving for another term, representing all stakeholders. As the district navigates a future with major capital projects, ever-changing finances, and the continued goal to serve the educational needs of all of the children.
Thank you very much. And finally, Ms. Case.
I'd like to say thank you for taking the time to listen to everybody tonight. I work in higher ed, so I see students coming out of the K-12 system and entering college. So I know what students need to be successful. I think that I can bring that to the Troy City School District. I work a lot with four-year schools. I understand what it's like to navigate the higher ed system, which is a different system than K-12. I know what students need to be best prepared to step into the career world. I do think that you could move some mountains here and really start those career capabilities at younger ages. I would love to see that. If I was elected on the board, I would love to see that push into elementary schools and really utilize your resources, utilize your local colleges. Smart Scholars just started. There's other programs that can go along with that, like AVID, that can really make kids ready for college or ready for a career, instead of walking out the door and still being kind of confused or a little bit not so sure what the next step would be. And I'd like to take that experience I've had for 16 years and put that into practice in the district.
Thank you very much. Before I read my official closing, I just want to say on behalf of everyone that the students and families of the Troy City School District will be well served by whomever wins the seat to the school board. And we're very lucky to have 7 candidates of your caliber, so thank you. That concludes our event this evening. I'd like to thank everyone for participating either in person or remotely. And I would also like to thank the public for submitting questions ahead of time and for watching our 2021 Meet the Candidate live stream. Again, best of luck to all the candidates and have a wonderful evening, everyone.